what's up everyone? I hope you all are doing great out there. Thanks for tuning in. My name's Jason with Upshifting Adventures, and today I'm going to be doing a quick review of the Husqvarna 701 Enduro. I just picked this bike up a couple of weeks ago, and I've got about 600 miles on it so far. Most of it out in Moab on the trails and on the dirt, a little bit on the road, so I've got a good feel for what it can do on all surfaces. So to start with, the reason I got this bike was that I have a KTM 300 XCW two-stroke, and it's a great trail bike, but it really doesn't have any sort of legs on it, you know. It's got about 50 to 60 miles to a tank, so you got to have gas close by. It's really for out there. I go out with my son and we go out riding on the trails, and that's great for that. I also have a BMW 1250 GS, and that thing is fantastic for long trips, excuse me, you know, 2 or 3 or more days out on the road, camping or hoteling it, whatever. And while it is fully capable on dirt roads, I just, you know, as hard as I try and as much as I'd like to, I'm never going to be able to ride that bike like I see some of these guys on the YouTube channels. Most of them make a living at it. So the guys you see taking these big adventure bikes up on these crazy wazoo trails and stuff, most of us just can't do that. So I wanted to see if this bike would kind of fit that interim position to where I could use it to go on longer trips, maybe even camping trips and stuff like that close to home, and get up into the woods a little bit further back than I can with the big BMW GS. So far what I've come to notice is that it definitely is that bike. I'm super happy with this bike. It's such a great bike. Let's talk about first on the road. This bike will do 75, 80, 100 miles an hour very easily. It's got the big 690cc single cylinder motor. At 75 miles an hour, that's about as fast as I've had it so far. I was riding down the highway to get here today. It's very smooth. You know, there's no windscreen, and it's a dirt bike, so you know that you're doing 75. But let me tell you, compared to some of the other, you know, dual sports out there that are essentially just dirt bikes with a headlamp and a license plate and a couple of lights on there with some blinkers and whatnot, they're still dirt bikes. This guy is not. It is equally at home on the road. Well, I wouldn't say equally, but it's very at home on the highway, more at home in the dirt though. So talk about some of the features of the bike. One, I think, you know, the highway comfortableness of the bike comes from the TKC 80 tires that it comes with. It's great on the road. They're a great dual sport tire, but I think if I was to do more serious off-roading like I was doing today and some single track, real sandy, washy kind of stuff, I would opt for better tires, and I'll probably put some better tires. It's the end of the season now. It's you know, late October here in Colorado, so I won't have a whole lot of riding left, but for next year I'll put some better, more dirt specific tires on it. It does have the WP suspension, which is really nice. It's got the adjusters on top, and you know, you can adjust your rebound and your compression on both your forks and your shock. It's all WP stuff. Has quite a bit of travel. It's really great. And like I said in previous videos, I'm not here to talk about real specific mechanical engineering type of stuff. I leave that up to the professors out there. I just talk from the standpoint of a guy who rides motorcycles, loves riding motorcycles, and hopefully if you're one of those same people, then the kind of information I'm putting out is more relevant to you than how many inches or millimeters of travel and all that other stuff. But it does have quite a bit of travel. I think it's in the range of 8 inches of travel, both front and back. They're the same. It's got Brembo brakes. It's a single-sided rotor on the front and of course on the back with Brembo calipers, and they do very well. And that is something that I'm really glad to have, especially on the street. Not so much on the dirt. You can always lock up a back tire on the dirt pretty easily, and anything will stop a tire to wash it out in the front. So, but on the street, it's nice to have those big Brembos stopping you. Some of the features of the bike that are really kind of cool. It has 2 maps that you can select between, one for the highway or road riding and one for off-road riding. The first map gives you the full throttle response of the bike. It'll wheelie pretty easily. Wind it out a little bit. I'm a big dude and I'm here at 6,000 feet, so I got to wind it out a little bit. But first gear, second gear, it'll do power up wheelies. And that's with the traction control off, which we'll talk about that here in a second too. But anyway, two maps, map 1 and map 2. And then map 2 is for your off-road riding. And basically what it does is it tames down your throttle response a little bit. So you don't end up grabbing a handful of gas and then looking up at the sky and with your bike in between you and it, wondering what happened. So, and I believe it also changes your ignition curve, right? So basically makes the bike a little more off-road tame when you're in map 2. Okay, it also has traction control. So with the traction control mode enabled, which is the standard or default mode, the bike won't be able to do wheelies. It'll come off the ground a little bit. It gives you a little bit in enduro, but I think in map 1, it limits your wheelie ability. And it also, if you start hitting ruddy stuff, it will cut throttle response to your back tire. It senses tire slippage, okay? So you can turn the traction control off in either mode, 1 or 2. And the way you do that, it's very quirky, okay? So the traction control mode, when the bike first starts up, all of your lights are on. So you have, or whatever map you were in when you shut it off. I was in map 1, and then my traction control light is on, and my ABS light is on. So once you start the bike, get it in gear, get it moving a little bit, the bike will sense what's going on, and those lights will turn off. Give me a second. Okay, so that's the bike's pre-run checks, basically. So when you first start your bike, every time you'll have whatever map you were in will be lit up, traction control will be lit up, and your ABS button will be lit up. So to turn off your traction control, basically whichever map you're in, and you can change maps on the fly or on the move. The only thing you have to do is you have to let off the throttle before it will actually change to that map, right? So let's say for now, right here, I'm in map 2. And you have to hit the traction control button for exactly 5 seconds for the traction control to engage. So push the button, 2, 3, 4, 5, release, and traction control lights up, okay? The same thing to turn it off, push the button, 2, 3, 4, 5, release, and the button turns off. Your ABS, push and hold the button for 5 seconds, 3, 4, and the light will come on telling you that your ABS is disengaged, okay? And that allows you to basically lock up your tires when you're off-road. So with traction control on in enduro mode or in map 2, I guess it really doesn't matter map 1 or 2, but with the I'm sorry, not traction control, with ABS on, it will not allow you to lock your brakes, either of them, front or rear. So I find that on the dirt, your rear brake really becomes useless because your ABS is working so hard that it's not even really slowing the back tire down. So I like to turn the ABS off when I get off road. That way I can hit that rear brake, lock it, slide it, whatever I want to do. The odometer or the screen for the bike basically there's 2 buttons. They both do the same thing as far as I've been able to figure out. You hit the button, it'll tell you, for instance, I got 941 total miles on the bike right now. It's 122. You hit the button again, you get your average miles per hour, and the ART it's basically a reminder for when you need to get service. Okay, and then it tells you right now I've got 29.6 miles on this tank. In order to zero that out, you hit both of these buttons at the same time. You hold for 3 seconds and it will zero out. So there are very few things about this bike that I think are not really, as good as they could be. And one was the factory seat. It was kind of narrow, kind of stiff, and kind of slippery. So altogether, it did not make for a great seat, if you ask me. So I ordered a Seat Concepts seat for this bike. Their website said it would take roughly a month or more before I got the seat. I got it in like 6 days, 8 days, which was perfect because I was getting ready to go out to Moab. Came in the day before I left. Awesome. I put it on. It was too easy, and it is a great, comfortable seat. Really comfortable seat. If you're having a hard time with the seat on your bike and you want to pony out a little bit of cash to get a great seat, these guys over at Seat Concepts make fantastic seats. Okay. The other thing that I did do was I put some real bark busters. These are Acras. They're not actually Bark Buster brand, but when I was out in Utah, I fell over one time. The handlebar hit a rock. The brake lever turned into a horseshoe because all it had was those single mount, you know, little hand protectors. So I spent the money and I put a good set of knuckle protection, bar protection, whatever you want to look at it as. Okay. The Moscow Moto bags. These things are fantastic. These are the Reckless 40s. They make them in a 40 and an 80. And the 80, on the 80, these side pieces are actually, you can dial them in to the angle that you want. On the 40s, it's just, you get what you get. But I find it to be just perfect. So on this bike, on specifically this Husky 701, I had the passenger foot peg deletes on here, and it basically just puts a little shield right here for your heels, but there was nowhere to mount the bottom of the bags here due to the fact that this is the gas tank, so it's solid. There's no frame pieces or anything like that. So I had to reinstall the foot pegs. Oh well, I hate it, but what can you do? So that I could put the lower straps around the foot pegs to lock them in. A little bit inconvenient, or you know, not inconvenient. It's nobody's fault. It's, you know, the gas tank being back here just precludes you being able to mount it somewhere else. Excuse me. So this, like I said, these are the 40s. All right, and the way this works is it's basically a very hard Cordura nylon sheath with a dry sack that you fill and then put it into the sheath. And then, you know, it's got a couple of different straps on it that keep it locked in very nicely. And it also has, on the back end of the bags, there's this little pouch on either one that'll hold something. So I chose to put extra fuel bottles in it, so that in case I do run out of gas out in the middle of nowhere, I've at least got, you know, almost a gallon's worth. I got one in here and one on the other side as well. And I find that those go in there real well. If you are going to do that, I would suggest getting the MSR fuel bottles. This one here is nice and dented up because when I did lay the bike down in Moab in some rocks, it landed on these and really dinged them up pretty bad. No leaks. They did really well. So real happy with that. And then you got the straps that go around and secure it all down. Now on the top of the kit, you also have an 8-liter dry sack as well. Okay, it's got a nice little Velcro patch right here and contact patches here. It locks it in place, and then of course the flaps also lock it in place. And you know, so 8 liters. I usually put like a jacket or something in here, or maybe some food, and comes in real handy. Now you don't have to use the bag. You can put in whatever you like. And also, you know, if you have something a little bit taller, kind of nice little feature, this flap will open up and give you a little bit more room to cinch down around whatever gear you're carrying, and just gives you a little bit more carrying capacity. All right, so that's kind of nice. License plate thing looks kind of stupid, but that's okay. When I got the bike, it came with these engine guards, which I'm glad I had because I've already laid it down in some rocks, and it did do a great job of protecting the bike. The grips that come with it are actually quite comfortable. I'm pretty happy with them. They're not bad at all. So overall, the bike is just really a great bike. I love it. It is heavier than a you know, 250 or 450 dirt bike, but not too much. I want to say this thing comes in at 150 kilos, which is about 340 pounds dry. And I think it would handle probably better off-road too if I didn't have all this Moscow Moto stuff on the back here, as far as like doing true dirt bikey stuff. But all in all, it still handles really well. It will get you anywhere you want to go, no doubt about it. That's about it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a big like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you get updated when I put out new content. I love doing this stuff, and I hope that you get as much satisfaction out of watching the video as I do from making it. Until next time, just keep riding, and I hope to see you out there sometime.